congratulations on actually getting the pressure out there. But I'm going to take you back before we come to this week. Last week, when it came out, it was the headline was, I think it was 1.2 million students scored below 200. It was discussed on this show. And even though I don't have experience with JAMB, never done it because I didn't school here, but it didn't matter. I wanted to hear what students and parents had to say. And lots of parents were sending in their anecdotes. Somebody said the system broke down. Somebody said they still can't see their results. Most people were blaming JAMB. As of that time, Professor Ishak Oloyede was actually deflecting blame from the institution and directing it towards the parents and the students. So I would like to hear what your opinion was back then, this time last week.
Okay, thank you for the question. When I saw the reports last week, the numbers looked a bit strange to me. I didn't really make any comments. I said, let me observe and study it. I didn't believe that statistics was right. But of course, you can't make claims without your counter statistics. Well, I'm going through the numbers.
If I may just interrupt you, Alex, I'm asking that. I think your head is too close to the top. Yes, you might need to push your laptop. I think that's better. Yes, that is much better. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so when I noticed it, I didn't really say anything. I just suspected that this number doesn't look right. But of course, you can't condemn what you don't have a counter statistics for, right? So when I started looking at some of the statistics that I have, started comparing data sets, started seeing very unusual patterns. Somebody scoring 2 years ago, 281, last year, 311, studying medicine, and then you are looking at 160. Trust me, this is not practicable. And this person is saying, I answered everything and I submitted. I'm expecting like 340 or 360. You are seeing different kind of strange patterns. Somebody that won national mathematics competition is scoring 40 in mathematics. You are seeing a lot of other strange patterns. I said, okay, you know what? I mean, we have EDUCARE, a lot of children use it to practice for their exams. I'm seeing the consistency in terms of their practices and their scores. I'm seeing the correlation with the results. Schools are calling in. Schools that have had reputation for the past 30 years, the best student is scoring 160. I just knew that something obviously is wrong. I didn't really know whether it's general. I didn't know. So it was okay. People that wrote on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and the 28th encountered issues. Now I had to say, you know what? Let me hear from the public. When I wrote out, let people fill form, I had 18,000 people fill the form.
Wow.
And when I saw 18,000 people and 18,000 persons having exact same complaint, although I noticed a pattern, Lagos and some Southeast states, I didn't really want to mention about the location, but I mean, the complaints were much. That was when I said, I'm going to go against JAMB heads on. We must get to the root of this. There's something absolutely wrong. You are the problem and not the student. Go and investigate your system and let's figure it out.
Excellent. Interesting. So you're going to be able to call once I open up the lines. I know this is not borderlines. This is done for conversations and we usually talk as we go along. But I would like at least 30, 40 minutes to talk with Alex so you all know what to call about on 0201 277 0993, 0201 465 7190. And you can be sending your messages to the WhatsApp 0809 597 5805. We are streaming live. Yes, we're streaming live. This downfall is going jiggy jaga jiggy jaga jiggy all the way to JAMB in Abuja with Alex Onyia as my co-pilot today. We're going to get to the bottom of this, well, as best as we can. So then you got 18,000 responses, which is quite a lot. And then what did you do?
I took the data. I got to my Lego team. We said, okay, first of all, let's demand from the Freedom of Information Act. Let's assume your system is as perfect as you claimed. We need the mark script. We need to see what the students got. They need to be able to see what they answered. And if we found out that you are wrong, we need you to publicly apologize to them. And then you must fix it. And then we also want you to rerun. So when we got it out, yes, they reached out almost immediately. Then, of course, we started the conversation. First of all, privately confirmed to us that there are some gaps. So they had to formally invite us. We came in there. We now did the deep audit, and then we started seeing all the gaps. So the point is, yes, it was through their vendor, one of their vendors, right? And then, of course, then we had to now create like a pathway forward.
Okay.
So that's basically how it happened.
Okay, so the issue was discovered after you, I think the likes of Osita Chijoke, I saw him on a rise, and others actually did a deep dive. So you went on a quest to find out what the problem was, correct?
Exactly.
And then you discovered that. What exactly was the problem? Because here's the thing. Professor Loyede came out, albeit crying, came out and said, yes, you know, it was a system error, etc., etc. But my background, I was a project director. Heck, I was a program director in IT/telecoms. That's how I ended up in this country in the first place, right? And I was that for, I don't know, 20 something odd years, right? So when somebody says, oh, it was a system error, that's not good enough for the customer. Because the customer, who are the students and the parents, need to know exactly what that system error was. Are you able to tell us exactly what it is?
So I would say it's in a layman's understanding. I actually put out a report, which if you've gone through my X, you can be able to go through that report. It will give you like a more comprehensive view of what exactly that we discovered, right? But on a scale, so they have two different clusters. They have the CAD and the LAG cluster.
Yeah.
So the CAD cluster has different northern states and all. Then the LAG cluster is where you have the Lagos and Southeastern states, right? So, but what happened is they improved on their security and introduced some updates, right? Which these things came in patches. The team that handles the CAD cluster updated their servers, right? And all the CBT centers on those clusters, right?
What's the second cluster? You said LAG cluster and...
We have a CAD cluster and a LAG cluster.
CAD,
C-A-K-A-D.
Okay,
CAD.
right, okay.
Then we have a LAG cluster, L-A-G.
Yeah.
Yes, so that particular cluster, they say they are meant to push in like a patch. That patch, for some reasons, they didn't push in that update, which was a human error, right? And even as at the time the exam was going on, that was even when they even pushed an update. So for some reasons, he didn't even capture it. And they didn't know, because the result pattern was, what we noticed is the first person result looks okay, right? Then the ones under it start looking abnormal. So let's say you want to do random sampling and you are picking the first item in the list and it looked okay, right? So for them, I don't know how they did their own internal analysis and the rest. The long and short of it is, this is, and at a glance, what happened. You get? So why? Based on that, JAMB itself lost complete confidence in the organization that they are working with. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So that was why a remark was not an option that they are comfortable with. There was an option for remark, but they said, if these people can put them in this mess, they can even put them in more mess, right? So the person is, you know what, let's drop these people. Let's use the other people that we've worked with, right, on the other one, and let's retake the exam, which is very painful, but I think that is going to give them a lot more confidence.
Okay, so here's the question that I'm going to ask you, and I know you're not Professor Loyede, but if JAMB was in front of me, this is the first place I would come to. Tell me about the experience of the vendor that they awarded this contract to.
I genuinely don't know the vendor. I don't even know the experience, right? So for me, I'm basically giving you like a deep dive of our observations, right? So you can see a lot of nonchalant attitude on the vendor, because even as at the day we came, we even came before the vendor. So they have invited the vendor since Monday. We were there on Tuesday. The vendor came in on Tuesday and we were there, right? I don't even know whether they're afraid to come or something.
Can you tell us the name of the vendor?
No, we can't disclose that information. I think it's for their security reasons. Yes, we're not allowed
Freedom
to
of
do that.
information. We should know because public procurement. This is not at you. It's at JAMB, right? Public procurement rules states that everything must be tendered in the public and people, companies apply for it.
I think you can formally write to JAMB for that.
Yeah. So why are they keeping it secret? That's one interesting thing. So here's the thing. So they're keeping it secret, so we don't know whether this vendor has actually got experience in such a system in implementing, let alone upgrading, and what they've done in the past. Now, did JAMB mention anything about any sort of due diligence or any report from the vendor's previous customers?
Previous customers
Of the vendor.
I didn't hear previous customers. But in terms of due diligence, yes, they mentioned about due diligence and everything. But the point is, we don't know how this due diligence are being carried along.
Indeed.
One of the things I was recommending to them is, especially at this stage, let's do your assessments, but we need a third-party review before publishing so that we don't repeat the same problem, trying to apologize again to the same audience. So, and going forward, we should introduce a third-party review before you publish. They write the exam, whatever who you want to use for reasons that you prefer, fine. We need to be able to do a third-party review before your own review so that everything can correlate and match before these things go out, because these results are critical to these children's destinies.
So here's the other thing that I'm picking at your brain now, because like I said, everybody, he's not here to represent JAMB. So when you call, calm down, right? I'm just picking at Alex's brain because he clearly understands things in the way that I do. Here's the thing. The design for the actual system itself, right? The software design. I'm guessing they didn't show that to you guys either.
No, we saw, we were able to look at logs and see some of the patterns here. But that doesn't mean we have 100%.
Yeah. So do we know how many patch upgrades they've done in the past?
Honestly, we didn't bother really taking note of that.
I'm hoping you're going to write this down when you see them, all these questions down when you see them.
Yes.
And you can always get my details from Zainab if you need to. Because here's the thing. Okay. So they did a patch upgrade. Was there any form of testing? So when you do an upgrade, when you implement, the first thing you do is you create a false environment, right? Like I said, I've done this a million times. You create a false environment to actually simulate what's going to happen.
I think they did that, yes. I think they did that. The only thing is, I don't know about their quality assurance process and how strict they are to it. My own point is, you cannot make an audit even a month before the exam.
Exactly.
Too late.
It's too late.
So it's something like 2 months before.
Yeah.
Within that period, every form of testing you are doing,
it's null and void.
With software update.
Yeah.
So I think these are part of the recommendations I'm already making.
Okay.
It is wrong